Hello, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm canning mushrooms. I got a bunch of mushrooms on clearance at Kroger's just now when we stopped at the store after church, and they're sliced white button mushrooms. And these ones are produced in Texas. These other ones are organic, certified organic ones. And both are really good. And so I got them on clearance for $1.19 for 8 ounces, and this one is $1.49 for 8 ounces. That's a pretty good price, so I'm going to go ahead and can them up. I'm going to use the instructions in my the National Center for Home Food Preservation's So Easy to Preserve from the University of Georgia. And it talks about it only recommends a hot pack, so I can't just put them in the jars and pour boiling water over them. I do have to cook them a little bit first. But first, what I have to do is wash them, because as you know, when you buy mushrooms, they've got a little bit of that medium that they're grown in on them, which is fine. It's not harmful, but I don't want to can them with that. You'll always hear, some people will say, wipe the mushrooms off, don't ever wash them. Well, I'm fixing to cook them anyway, so I might as well wash them. And Jacques Pepin says, I like him a lot. He makes a lot of good sense. And he says, phooey, they're dirty. Wash the dirt off of them with water. So let me open all these containers up and get them in. I'm going to put them in cold water for about 10 minutes and just kind of let them soak, so it'll kind of loosen it up, and then I'll pull them out and rinse them, and then we'll go from there to cook them. Okay, there they are. They're soaking in cold water. As you can see, they're still nice and fresh. They're not slimy in any way. They feel really crisp. See, they just snap apart, and they're still nice and white inside. One of the things I like about Kroger is, or this Kroger anyway, is they don't keep stuff around until it's rotten before they put it on clearance. When they want things at the peak of freshness. So once it passes that very peak, they'll immediately clearance it out to move it along. Well, that's just perfect for. I might not want these for a salad where I'm going to eat them fresh, but that's perfect for something I'm going to cook and can. So. I'm really happy with these, and you can see all the dirt that's coming out of them, or the dirt, that's not dirt, it's peat or whatever that medium is they're grown in. So it's important to rinse them off. So I'm going to let them sit here for about 10 minutes and soak to be sure to pull all of that. Okay, the mushrooms have been soaked and then rinsed, and now I've put them in a saucepan, covered them with plain clear water from the cold water tap. Don't ever take your water for drinking or cooking with from the hot water tap, only from the cold. That's an old thing that I've heard all my life. We were always told that the hot water could leach lead from the solder in the pipes, and so not to ever use the hot water for anything that you're going to eat or drink. We just use it for washing. So use your cold water tap and cover your mushrooms, and now I'm going to bring them to a boil, and I'm going to boil them for 5 minutes. Well, I'm learning why you cook these before you put them in to jar them up. See how that's foaming up like that? Now that'll go down, but you can see where they boiled over on me once already. Look at that white foam coming up, and that'll go away. But you don't want them foaming up like that in your jars when you're trying to get them sealed. So that's apparently why we go ahead and cook them. And this is just plain water. There's no salt or anything in it. I put salt in the jars when I make them. I did not realize, turn that down so it won't boil over on me again. Turn it way down. I didn't realize how nutritious mushrooms are. In fact, I thought that I've always considered them kind of a throwaway, just kind of an extra additive that didn't really matter much nutrient-wise. However, come to find out, mushrooms have 100% of your daily allowance of vitamin D. They also have, where's my little package there? They also have 300 milligrams of potassium, which is 9% of your daily allowance for potassium. They're low carbs, only, and this is a 3-ounce serving. So that's about, this is, 8 ounces. So that's a good, that'd be at least about a third of a cup to half a cup of mushrooms. No fat, and a little bit of fiber. They've got 3 grams of protein, which I was pleasantly surprised about. But that vitamin D was really astounding. 15% of the copper, 20% of riboflavin, 10% of selenium, 15% of niacin, and 10% of pantothenic acid, which I'm not familiar with what that is. Even got 2% of the iron. So mushrooms are really a very nutritious, low-fat product that you can add to your family's diet. And that vitamin D is a big deal. It's my understanding that most of us don't get enough vitamin D these days because we just don't spend enough time outside. So encourage your little ones to eat some mushrooms when you have your pasta sauce. The other thing I wanted to just mention, and I think I've cut it where you can't see it. Today is May the 7th, but the sell-by date on these was May the 9th. So Kroger has actually discounted them to move them out while they're still in date. They're still good. So that's just another great practice that I really appreciate from our local Kroger. All right, now these have been cooking now for, I'm going to let them cook for another 3 minutes, and then I'm going to start filling my jars. I don't have enough of my small half-pint jars to do all of these mushrooms. I wasn't expecting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lot of them into pint jars, but I'm only going to put a cup of mushrooms in each jar, and I'm going to fill the rest with, you fill them with boiling water anyway. So I'm only going to put about 3/4 of a cup of mushrooms, one amount that I would cook with, even in these bigger pint jars, and then fill the rest of the way with my boiling water. I've put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, Canon salt, in the half pints, and a full half teaspoon of salt in the pint jars. So now I'll be back in a few minutes when I'm getting them filled. Okay, now I'm going to pour boiling water up to the top. See, I've just put a small portion of those. I'm going to leave an inch of headroom there. And then I will put my lids on, and I'll be back. Okay, I've got water in my canner, and up to the recommended line, and see if I can see that where that lower line is, and I've added some vinegar to it so that it won't leave a white film on my jars. Even though I'm mixing half pints and pints in this can, I will cook it, I will pressure it for the length of time for pints. And half pints will just process a little extra length of time. I went ahead after all and filled up my pints a little bit more because I don't have room for a bunch more half pints a bunch more jars in this canner, and I don't want to have to run it twice today. So I'll just have lots of extra mushrooms in things when I use these. All right, I'm going to get this filled up and close it up and get it going. Okay, I've got my heat on high, And when it starts steaming, you have to follow your own canner's recommendation instructions, because each canner has a little bit different instructions for how long you vent it and when you put your top on. We're at 1,100 feet, so since I use a weighted regulator, I'll show you, instead of a gauge. If I was using a gauge, I'd need 11 pounds of pressure, but since I use a weighted one, I use both weights to make it 15 pounds of pressure. So I'm setting that aside, and I won't put that on until after the steam started coming up through here, and it's vented for 10 minutes. So I'll be okay. There goes my little petcock. I'm going to process these for 45 minutes, and my guide says do either half pints or pints at the same time, so 45 minutes is good. So I'm going to set my timer now. And start. All right, now see y'all in a little. I'm turning down my fire because I don't want my little weight to be rocking so fast. Just a slow, easy rock on it is all that it needs to be doing. All right, we'll be back. Okay, my timer went off. My 45 minutes is up, and so now I'm just going to let it sit. I turned the fire off. I'm just going to let it sit, and I'm going to allow it to the steam to dissipate naturally, allow it to cool naturally. I'm not going to remove my petcock or do anything to cool it off faster. I'm just going to let it sit there. So it'll probably sit there till tomorrow morning before I do anything with it, and it won't hurt it a bit. So, all right, see you again. Here we are. Good morning. This is my results. Well, minus 3 jars. I had 3 jars that didn't seal. So I stuck them in the freezer, but these mushrooms are really nice looking. I didn't put any ascorbic acid in them, and they still have a nice look to them. The ones that are a little bit darker, I used a little bit more of the mushroom broth in, and the ones that are a little bit lighter, I used all boiling water. So they came out really good. I'm really happy. A little concerned about how many didn't seal. I looked up, I'm going to look up some information about that and see what's going on there. But anyway, this turned out great. Good way to take care of processing a bunch of nutrition there. All right, thanks a bunch.